Hey there, it's Tresa. Welcome to Frugal from Scratch. I'm so glad to have you here on YouTube to join me. I have a great recipe today. A couple things I'm doing. I've been getting all these fresh veggies. My garden is growing. I haven't really gotten a lot from it yet because I got it in a little bit late. But I've been getting farm boxes and hitting farm stands. And I did some blueberry picking. And today I'm going to show you how you can do a fridge pickle recipe, and you can pickle any kind of vegetables at all. So what I've got is a couple jars that I sterilized, and all you really need to do to sterilize a jar is to dip it into boiling water and just make sure it gets a good soak in the boiling water, and then pull it out. So I've got 2 jars. I've got a cucumber and I've got some cauliflower. So let me show you what I'm going to do. And what I have here in this pot is some apple cider vinegar that I brought to a boil with some salt. And so the recipe that I found had a couple different things in it that I didn't necessarily have. So the cucumbers I sliced real thin, and I'm just going to put these in this jar. They're going to be packed. You want to pack it pretty tight. And so as much as I can fit in here, I'm gonna really squish it down and get it in there. You want a little bit of room for the liquid, so if I don't get it all in, it's not the end of the world. I can always save a couple pieces for something. All right, I think that's pretty good. I want to be able to have some room for the liquid, so my cucumbers are packed in there pretty tight. Now, I am going to add some mustard seeds to the cucumber. I really like mustard seeds, and I think it'll give it some good flavor. And I'm going to let that sit for a minute while I get my cauliflower ready. So I'm going to pickle cauliflower as well. So what I did was I had 2 small heads of cauliflower, and I just gave it a good wash with some apple cider vinegar and lemon essential oil, and give it a good rinse after I cut it up into small pieces. And I probably have more than is going to fit in the jar, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack the jar, and I'm going to try to go with the smaller pieces, and the rest, I like cauliflower so many different ways. You can roast it, and it's delicious roasted. I might have shown you guys that. Gosh, I've had so many videos on here now. I've kind of lost track. But roasting cauliflower is super easy. I just throw it on a baking sheet with a little olive oil. I like to put oregano and salt and garlic powder. I am not a huge pepper girl. I do use pepper sparingly. I like white pepper a lot if I'm going to use pepper, but I don't like, to me, that heavy pepper on food just takes away from the taste of the food. But you can add pepper. You can add any kind of seasoning that you want. You could spice it up if you wanted to. I've battered cauliflower with like a chickpea flour batter. If you want to make it gluten-free, or you could just do a flour. And all right, so this is, well, we're getting pretty packed. I've actually fit a lot more in here than I thought I would have. I'm trying to go with there's some really tiny pieces in here, and just pack it really well. Okay, and there we have it. Cauliflower packed up nicely. All right, let me move this out of the way. And then what I'm going to do in here is I had some oregano in the garden, and I picked that, and I just gave it a really rough chop, mostly just because when you do that, the essential oil in herbs is in the leaves. And if you give it a little bit of a rough chop, it breaks open those sacs that have the essential oils in it, and you'll get a little bit more flavor. So just a rough chop, and I've got that on top. And so this is super simple, right? I've got my apple cider vinegar and salt that I brought to a boil. It's still pretty hot. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour it in here to fill the jar. Hopefully I'll have enough If I don't, I might have to heat up a little bit more. So let's see. Oh, I'm so close, but I'm gonna need a little more. So I'm just gonna really quick heat up a little bit more apple cider vinegar for the pickles, for the cucumbers. I'm sure I have plenty of salt, so I'm good on that. Just bring that to a boil real quick. And you just want to make sure that you press down what's in here. And I had let it cool for a little bit, so it's not too hot. And there we go. And you can eat these pretty quickly if you want to, but they really taste better if you let them sit for a day or so, at least. You can let them sit for weeks in there. Probably within about a month or so, you're gonna wanna use them up. But if you let them sit for at least a couple days, you're gonna get much better flavor. But you wanna let this jar cool completely before you put it in the fridge. And then you have some pickled vegetables. They are, you know, apple cider vinegar, any kind of vinegar really, is great for your digestive system. And they're just a great snack. You can put them in salads. You can serve them on the side with anything that you're gonna maybe barbecue. See, that came to a boil pretty fast. And we'll just fill that jar the rest of the way. Top it off, add a teeny bit more there. And there we go. So there you can see the cucumbers are nice and submerged. I'll let those cool a bit, put a cap on them. When they're cool, I'll get them in the fridge. And as you can see, the mustard seeds kind of start to seep down, so you get the flavor of those. I'll poke this down. Oh, actually, I could do that right now, so that the oregano gets down in there. And I just want to make sure that it's pressed down really nice. And good to go. So as far as the extra cauliflower, because I do still have quite a bit of it here, roasting, it's a great way to do it. Little olive oil, whatever seasonings you want to put on it, put it in the oven at like 425. Doesn't take more than 10 or 15 minutes, especially if the pieces are small. And I like it to get nice and brown and kind of crispy. You could rice it, throw it in your food processor and just kind of rice it up, and it works like rice. You can add other veggies to it and kind of do like a stir fry thing. You can do raw cauliflower, make a dip, or put it, you know, in salads and have it that way. My mother used to make this amazing dip with just mayonnaise and curry powder and a little honey that was really delicious. And I love dipping cauliflower in that. And you can throw it in stir fries. You can put it in soups. You can put it in stews. If you want to freeze it, I would blanch it first before you freeze it. And it will stay great in the freezer for a while, and then you can pop it out when you want to use it. So blanch it, bring water to a boil, pop it in boiling water just for a minute or so, pull it out, put it into ice cold water for a minute just to bring the temp down, and then you'd want to spread it on like a baking sheet, maybe on a piece of parchment or whatever, and freeze it that way so it doesn't clump all up. And then once it's frozen, you could put it into a bag or a container or whatever you want to freeze it in. So super easy, a great way to preserve some of this. Now, there are other ways that you can do canning, and you can actually can pickles and vegetables like this. I just had a little bit, so I didn't want to do the whole canning process. But if you've got lots of cucumbers and lots of cauliflower or lots of vegetables, carrots and all sorts of things that you want to pickle, you can do that, and you can get those actually canned with a pressure canner or a water bath canner, and they will last on your shelf, you know, shelf stable for a good long time. So that will be a recipe for another time when I have lots more that I'm doing, and I'm still kind of learning. I'm still fairly new at canning. I've done a few things. I've done apples and pears, and I've done tomatoes, which I'm hoping I'll be able to do for my garden, but haven't ever done pickles before. But I'm going to learn a little bit about that because I've got cucumbers growing, and I'm hopefully going to have a bunch of those. So a little later in the summer, we'll do more of that. Meantime, I want to let you know about a couple things. I have got a great private community called Nourished and Renewed. It is not on social media. It is actually on my website, but it's a private community. It's free, and it's a great place where I share things like recipes that I'm making and tips about health and wellness and fitness and all the things that I'm doing to prepare my heart and my home, because we don't know what's going to happen in these crazy times, right? So if you want to join, I will put a link below for you to check that out and join. And if you have any questions, of course, always pop them in the comments below. Recipes are up on my blog. I try to add them every week or two to catch up on all the recipes. And if there's something that I'm missing, just pop me a message and say, hey, Tresa, get that recipe up. I want it. And I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless, and I'll see you again soon.